You likely believe your most important decisions are based on logic. When you choose a career path, buy a home, or evaluate a business partner, you assume you're looking at facts and making a rational calculation. This data suggests otherwise. Research shows that 80% of our choices are actually driven by emotional convictions. We only rely on logical analysis for the remaining 20%, often using it merely to justify the feelings we already have. That heavy emotional weighting creates a specific vulnerability. In the book Surrounded by Psychopaths, Thomas Erikson explains that individuals recognize this emotional entry point and learn to use it to influence others. In this context, a psychopath isn't a figure from a thriller movie. They are everyday people in your social circle, the boss who subtly undermines you, the coworker stealing your ideas, or the relative who uses guilt. It is a struggle for agency over your own mind.
This quote from the text captures the stakes. If you don't control your thinking, someone else will. When you leave your decision-making process unattended, you're inviting someone else to step in. To protect your own choices, you have to move past the emotional reaction. You must learn to identify their specific behavioral patterns before they are deployed against you. The first step in identifying those patterns is using a behavioral map known as the DISC system. It categorizes how people act, making their reactions far more predictable. This diagram plots behavior along two axes. The vertical axis shows focus, tasks at the top, people at the bottom. The horizontal line measures pacing, outgoing on the right, introverted on the left. Together, they create 4 quadrants representing distinct behaviors. By observing which quadrant a person falls into, you can begin to map their typical responses. This system allows you to anticipate the specific strategies a manipulator might use based on their primary behavioral color. Consider the red personality, the dominant profile. This is the most aggressive of the 4 types, characterized by a direct, task-oriented approach to leadership and social interaction. You can often identify a red personality through a specific, actionable field test, the way they handle sustained eye contact. In a typical social setting, most people will break eye contact after a few seconds. It's a natural reflex intended to lower social tension or signal politeness. A dominant personality does the opposite. They will meet your gaze and hold it with absolute stillness, refusing to be the first to look away. The text notes that this stare is a calculation. The person is actively evaluating your level of opposition and gauging whether you are a threat or a target for direct confrontation. When you recognize this as a behavioral signal rather than a personal challenge, it loses its emotional power. You have successfully identified their profile, taking away the advantage of intimidation. Once you begin to view office politics or difficult family dynamics through this behavioral matrix, the world looks different. You're no longer reacting blindly to personalities, you're observing patterns. It's important to realize that you cannot change the underlying traits of the manipulators around you. Their behavioral colors are fixed, and they will continue to use the tactics that work for them. Your defense is internal. It requires recognizing that 80% emotional pull and intentionally choosing not to let it drive your reaction. The act of categorizing a person into a color, red, yellow, green, or blue, forces you to slow down and observe objectively. This analytical pause gives that 20% logical capacity, the time it needs to evaluate the situation before your emotions take over. You are reclaiming the steering wheel of your own mind. By turning social interaction into a predictable map, you ensure that you, not a manipulator, remain in control of where you go next.